Coronation! Procession! March!
The 7 regiments of the British Army's Household Division have a job like no other.
Everyone happy? Let's go!
Their sworn duty is to protect the monarch and the royal family.
The defence of the realm, that's essentially our #1 job.
They're both frontline soldiers and masters of tradition.
You're not closing up on the far side!
You definitely know they're coming, don't you?
Yes.
Go on, get off the horse!
We go behind closed doors during one of the most challenging periods in its illustrious history.
It's a bit crazy trying to speak to everybody when there's so many people on the streets, but, you know, that is London.
Following them on overseas operations and getting ready for war.
The idea is to rev the troops up till they are seething with anger.
At the same time as delivering the biggest national celebrations in generations, including the King's coronation.
We've got to get a move on. The Gold State coach is in danger of stopping, and that's mission failed.
And his first trooping of the colour.
To some people it will seem absolutely ridiculous, but there is nothing that fills you with as much pride.
Quick! March!
This is the King's Guard. The Household Cavalry is the most senior regiment in the King's Guard. As the monarch's official bodyguard, their iconic look is recognised across the world. The cavalry consists of 2 distinct regiments, with a fierce rivalry going back to the 17th century. They're known as the Life Guards and the Blues and Royals. Both regiments are steeped in centuries of tradition, retaining their own unique regimental uniforms and customs.
One way to describe the difference between the Life Guards and the Blues and Royals is that people generally think about the Life Guards as being tall and professional, and think about the Blues and Royals as being good-looking, charming, get all the girls.
The Household Mounted Cavalry have recently appointed a new commanding officer.
So the Household Cavalry is totally unique in that it has this completely equine state ceremonial role that nobody else has.
Despite being a Blues and Royal, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Woodward is now custodian of both regiments' unique traditions.
It's written into mess rules that Life Guards may have their dogs in the dining room and Blues and Royals may not. So I'm spending time trying to coach my dog not to go into the dining room. You'll note that Mungo, my dog, being the well-trained Blue and Royal-owned dog of the years, does not come into the dining room, unlike the poorly trained lifeguard dogs, which are, of course, allowed into the dining room. Mungo. Good boy. Everybody in the Household Cavalry will dine in black tie every night. But people do wear some things to maybe jazz up their outfits slightly, so you'll see a lot of people wearing crested slippers, perhaps. 3 magnificent types of slipper here. On the right, Jamie, good-looking, dashing. Naturally. Blue and Royal, sporting the 105 Eagle on his slippers. Stu, very straight, a little bit special. In the Life Guards, wearing beautiful red velvet slippers that are notably fond. And then we have Jedge, despite being a Blue and Royal, who has his magnificent silver slippers given to him by an Afghan warlord, in which he cuts quite a dash in the mess, wowing all before him.
Unfortunately, they're 2 different sizes.
Whilst some of the traditions might seem ridiculous to an outsider, we're really proud of our heritage and traditions here. We try to keep as many alive as possible so that they'll endure into the future. Traditional cavalry officers' messes don't have a bar, and so we're very fortunate to have an area where drinks can be made and then brought out to us on a tray. And here you see Trooper Evans doing a magnificent job keeping us all watered in our hour of need. Right, let's go, shall we?
Meka kusi si te dori Yuka Saki o Beketero o Nikaga Mami Katai Nami Monoku Isasi Ika Ikara Maya Kuri Nadis Kaga Kari Tare Uko Isa Meiri Kachi Kamakaku Sukinari Ni Umoderu Sadukanante Inai Yogu Shaka Gara Sama Ara Mea Oku Boku Name Kime Ara Hina Oko Ida Iku Tara.
The royal family have been guarded by cavalry soldiers on horseback since 1660. Hoping to follow suit is the next generation of trainee troopers at the cavalry's riding school.
Bring your leg back up and over for me. Good, 2 hands back on that pommel, Bennett, and the other side.
Who are currently halfway through a 14-week riding course.
There, well done.
This riding course is one of the hardest to pass in the British Army due to the risk of injury. Intent on graduating is Officer Charlie Carr-Smith.
Cool, keep going, keep going, keep going.
And Trooper Sam Taylor.
Yes.
Both badged in the lifeguards. If they're able to pass the course, Charlie and Sam will be expected to ride on ceremonial state occasions. Over the first 6 weeks, they've learned how to trot, canter, and fall off correctly.
That's very good.
But today is the part of the course that makes every recruit quake at the knees. The jumps.
Jumping adds more challenge. The horses enjoy it a lot more than they do flat work, so you have to almost fight their enjoyment as well. Some of the weaker people might get caught out today, but I always say the best thing to do is to fall off a couple of times. As long as you don't get hurt, you sort of learn from your mistakes, and from there they should progress and catch up with the rest of the ride.
Until 6 weeks ago, Charlie had never ridden a horse. But he's driven by a sense of family pride to pass the course.
My grandfather was a Major General. Oddly, when I started at Sandhurst, my father was the commander of Sandhurst. Sort of like the headmaster, which was a very strange little dynamic.
Charlie and Sam have 3 weeks to master how to jump. Failure means repeating the entire course.
Sir, when you're ready, off you go. And then steady, 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 steady. Look at the jump, steady. Now leg, leg, leg. Then back to trot. Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry, sir, that's my bad. Shoulders back, shoulders back.
Dismount. Fucking hell. But I'm very angry at Corporal Pacey because he left a barrier up at the end, which unseated me. But there we go, a fall's a fall.
Oh, I'm cross with that.
He said I should have been looking up with my head up and seen it much earlier and therefore dealt with it. So partly my fault, but I think mostly Corporal Pacey's fault.
It's now Sam's first attempt. Like Charlie, until 6 weeks ago, he'd never sat on a horse.
I'm the first one in my family to ever join the army. My dad always tells people, don't know where he gets it from. Yeah, my mum and dad are very proud of me.
Go on, where you going? Taylor, wake him up, come on, can't walk. He's jumping, he's not walking.
Jumping is like my biggest weakness. How to sit in the saddle, where my legs should be.
Shoulders back. Grab your horse.
When I'm jumping, I feel quite tense, so the horse will be quite tense as well. Like, at the end of the day, the horse has got to trust you, and if you're relaxed, it helps a lot more.
What happens if I'm leaning like that? I'm already coming forward, aren't I? You have to be as far back as you think you possibly can go. All right? Jump back in your spot. Go on, Taylor. Go. There, that's it. No faster. Slow, slow. Okay. You right, Taylor?
Coming off a couple of times, in my head, I was like, I need to do this. I need to get through it. But when you come off, it's quite a daunting experience, I found.
Take 5 minutes. You're chill. Let the adrenaline go.
There's a long way to go for me, I think. It's just a constant battle. If I lose confidence, I don't trust the horse, and then it just feels like I'm battling with myself to get on with the job.
To reach the standard required, Sam must dig deep. He has 2 weeks to get up to speed before facing the regiment's commanding officer at assessment. The regimental rivalry between the Lifeguards and the Blues and Royals has delivered King Charles's coronation and first trooping of colour to a world-class standard. After a busy summer, both squadrons have travelled to Edinburgh to let off some steam and enjoy a bit of regimental rivalry.
Never before have the regiment had a ceremonial season quite as busy as this one. And being up in Scotland, when else would we be able to have our own take on the Highland Games? Completely impartial, but if I had to put my money on one of the squadrons, it would have to be Blues and Royals. I am a Blue and Royal, so I am slightly colourblind.
As the only 2 mounted divisions in the British Army, only tiny margins separate the 2 regiments. For Lifeguard Trooper Andy Jackson, there's more than just personal pride at stake in today's Highland Games.
There is that rivalry there. The Blues and Royals will defend their traditions and we, the Lifeguards, will defend ours because we are together, but we will fight to maintain that difference. And that's how you achieve the best effort out of everyone. There's no great prize, but we want to have the pride in saying we've beaten the Blues. We always come top over the Blues. Even when they beat us, we're still better.
The invention of the tank during the First World War marked a new era of combat by the British Army. Its purpose was to overcome the challenges of trench warfare. Now, a century on, the Army has spent billions of pounds on a new high-tech fleet of tanks for the King's Guards. The Ajax is the regiment's new state-of-the-art reconnaissance tank. It's equipped with a 40mm cannon and fully digital sighting system. One of the first troopers learning to drive this pioneering vehicle is Georgia Holbrook. It will also be her first time behind the wheel of a tank.
My job compared to my friends' jobs at home is rather different. You just say, oh yeah, I just drive tanks around Salisbury Plain, and then they just don't believe you.
Georgia is on a 4 weeks Ares plus 1 week Ajax conversion course to learn how to use this 40-ton vehicle of war. After spending 3 weeks training in a simulator, she's keen to ditch the L plates.
Cool, so what we do now, we need to engage a high track tension.
So it's very important that I pass the driver's course so I can get out on the exercise, just to take it out on the area pretty much to test its limits.
Today, she'll be driving a new Ares tank for the first time.
Driving it for the first time was really thrilling in a way, but quite daunting as well. This is completely different from driving a normal car, because obviously the size of it, the weight of it, and You can't exactly go around Salisbury Plain cross-country in a little car. It's a massive difference. I normally drive a Sirocco, so yeah.
Georgia is being assessed by course instructor Dustin Smith.
So what they've learned on the simulators, they're putting into practice on the live vehicle. Basically getting them competent enough for when they go on exercise in September.
Okay. All right, take it nice and steady, okay?
Her first critical test is to navigate this multi-million-pound tank through forest terrain.
All right, come round, on. Right, go forward.
As we were going through the wood block, it was quite daunting seeing all the trees quite close together.
Straighten up. Right, come left, stop. Ah, shit.
It was sort of a heart and mouth moment because you crashed into a tree and you're like, have I failed this course?
In Knightsbridge, the commanding officer of the Household Mounted Cavalry has only been in his new job for a month, but now faces the biggest ceremonial operation of his career. It's Matthew's duty to oversee King Charles's first official state visit of the year. The King is welcoming the Republic of Korea, a country renowned for its ceremonial excellence.
The President will have seen and will really understand what good looks like, and so I have no doubt he'll be watching and judging what we're doing. I think every state visit is special in its own way, but it's a really important one for the King, and therefore for us as a regiment. Their first impression of UK PLC, if you like, is us on parade, and the President will be invited to inspect the front row of foot guards, and so absolutely it's a no-fail activity.
As he squeezes into his uniform for the first time, Matthew's getting ready for his date with the Korean President and First Lady. His tunic is entirely hand-stitched lace with gold braid and worth thousands of pounds.
When I put the uniform on, yeah, it's super special. I mean, it's the same uniform that people have been wearing for the last couple of hundred years. If you look at old paintings, everybody who was doing this job was wearing this same uniform. And so it's really special, part of this ongoing history of this regiment. It's totally unique in what it delivers. And so I'm very, very humbled, privileged to be in charge of it.
As troops form up outside his office,
Doesn't look right.
time's running out for his adjutant, Jamie Bruce Crampton, to check his tunic braiding hangs correctly.
Go under the belt. Does it go under the belt?
No, hang on. No.
People wouldn't normally get to see us preparing in this intimate way for these kind of parades, so it's unusual to have this kind of access to be in this office seeing this happening now. All good?
Perfection is the only acceptable standard for the state visit. And it's all down to Matthew's inspection.
It's important that everyone's immaculate because we're on show here. And I think it's also worth the recognition to the individual who spent a lot of time and energy preparing their kit.
The Household Cavalry has preserved its regimental traditions since the 17th century. But it's had to keep an eye on the future too. In 2016, female soldiers were officially allowed to join the regiment. Following in this new tradition is 22-year-old cavalry trooper Georgia Holbrook. It's her first lesson in the Army's new Ajax tank. But having hit a tree, her future hangs in the balance.
It's a lot different looking at through the simulators and actually driving on the roads when there's live cars. Practice makes perfect, I suppose. The tree, on the other hand, I've seen better days.
Obviously, in training, so accidents are going to happen. It's better to have it now than it is actually in real life, where it can cause a lot more damage and a lot more injury to personnel and that.
It's essential that Georgia passes the next stage of the course, the cross-country test.
Cool. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a bit of high shooting first, okay?
The exercise is designed to push soldiers to the limit, to make sure they can cope on the front line.
It's quite intimidating. This would be the most difficult terrain I would have driven on. Just purely the fact I haven't done cross-country before. It's nothing I've ever experienced.
Cool, so with this we can do the ascent, okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Cool, so how are we going to do this then? You're going to keep it in first gear.
Yeah.
So handbrake off and accelerate up, okay? Drive advance.
Georgia is ordered to ascend this jaw-dropping incline and stop the 40-ton machine at the halfway point.
You're going up in this huge wagon, and as you're going up, all you can see is the sky. But I was like, sort of scared moment, like I was not up for it one bit.
Oh, so brake, bypass the brake. Yeah. So what we're going to go through now is descent, okay? Don't worry, it will feel a bit weird, but trust me, it'll be alright, okay?
Okay, I can't see behind me, by the way.
No, I'll be your eyes, okay?
Okay.
She now has to reverse back down, with only her tank instructor's words to guide her.
When you're going down, you're like, oh God, no, sort of situation. You're reliant onto your commander, and you want to show your commander that you're confident as a driver to do these sort of tasks when it comes and when it needs to be done.
She's made it to the bottom successfully. Now the final test is a nerve-wracking 40-mile-per-hour climb.
Drive head to advance. Into first. And hold it there.
I was quite happy when it peaked at the top. Just to be able to see stuff again was a really nice feeling.
Georgia's risen to the challenge and passed the course. It qualifies her to drive the Ajax on its first combat exercise using live ammunition. Further up the chain of command, Colonel Matthew Woodward is dealing with a different type of pressure. He must ensure his troops impress King Charles at the Korean state visit. There is added pressure on Matthew today, as the King has awarded him an additional role known as Silver Stick.
It's actually not a military appointment, it's a royal appointment. Historically, the Gold Stick, the most senior person, was the person who locked the King's bedroom at night, but he got to a point where he decided that was a chore rather than a privilege, so decided he would have a couple of understudies and appointed a Silver Stick. And this little small bag here used to contain the key for the King's bedroom. And this is where the term to keep somebody at arm's length comes from, because this is the distance somebody should be from the monarch. So it's length of a sword at arm's length. It's therefore a great privilege to be doing this job today.
But before they can set off, new commanding officer Matthew Woodward performs a final inspection.
That's when the game face goes on, because now this is the start of the parade. So, how's everyone this morning?
Yeah, morale high.
Morale high.
State visits are a vital part of Britain's soft power, reinforcing diplomatic relations and forging essential trade deals. So the pressure is on the cavalry to put their best hoof forward.
House of Cavalry officers formed up waiting inspection. Grab your permission to fall out and follow your inspection, Colonel, please. Please,
Morning. The Director of Music, how are we? All set?
Rehearsed and ready, Colonel, absolutely.
How are you, Colonel? Good. Yeah, big day. Big day. Excited. Super excited. I'm looking forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, don't worry, I won't disappoint you.
I don't know, I'm sure you won't. It sometimes feels a bit rushed because I've got 20 minutes for the whole inspection, which doesn't give that much time, but if you
extend it too long, then you've got a lot of people standing around on horses who need to be getting going. So now I've got a few minutes to get myself adjusted into my state helmet, my gauntlets and my sword. I'm then ready to go for my next bit. So these cuffs come off, the gauntlets go on. So they buttoned on. That's it.
The CO orders his troopers to Horse Guards parade. For speed, his second in command is not on horseback, but the regimental car is stuck.
So unfortunately we're having to contest with London traffic, making our way around the gardens of Buckingham Palace, up Birdcage Walk to Horse Guards Road on the south side of the parade square. Naturally, all state ceremonial operations do induce a slight amount of pressure. I think if anything didn't go according to plan, His Majesty has a way of relaying disappointment to higher echelons that then filter its way down to the regiment.
More than 1,000 soldiers gather for the state visit, with the cavalry as the crowning glory, ready to escort the king and his honoured guest.
My regiment looked absolutely magnificent. Pennants flying, swords glittering, breastplates shining. That was exactly as you'd expect, that beau ideal of cavalry we all know and love. And made me very proud to see the whole regiment on parade in that way.
With the diplomatic party safely delivered, the CO's first state visit is a resounding success. It's nearly job done for Matthew. But first, he needs to check on the horse's welfare. And even this brings out a touch of regimental rivalry.
Colonel Light Bell Squadron, 2 loose shoes, 1 injury. Colonel Blues and Royal Squadron, 3 loose shoes and 3 injuries.
Are these injuries to horses rather than people, and are they okay?
All minor injuries, Colonel. 1 cut to mouth and 2 kicks.
Thanks, guys. Really well done this morning. Great parade, as far as I can see.
Oh, wait.
We are just custodians of the history, the traditions, the standards for the future. Yeah, if you think somebody was sitting in my place 300 years ago doing this exact same job, and hopefully somebody will be sat in my chair in another 200 or 300 years' time doing this exact same job.
Horses on the battlefield are a thing of the past, but they remain critically important to ceremonial operations for the King's Guard. Hoping one day to ride on state events, the cavalry riding school trainees are on the final week of their course. They now face a crucial assessment with Commanding Officer Matthew Woodward, known as the Khaki Pass-Off. They're required to pass a detailed inspection of kit and riding skills to earn the regiment's coveted khaki peaked cap. Trooper Sam Taylor has previously tasted failure on the course due to injury.
I'm a lot more confident jumping now, which is a really good thing. And I've now actually got to the point where I'm actually really enjoying it now. I'm nervous, but it's like nerves are natural. Like, you can't help the nerves.
27-year-old Charlie Carr-Smith remains the only officer left on the course.
Being the only officer could have been a really strange dynamic, but I think I was confident in that I would get on with the people who are on course with me. They always called me sir, even when we went out for drinks. And that's just the way it is.
If he passes, in a few weeks' time, he'll be giving orders to the friends he's made at the riding school. With only 10 minutes to go, Charlie's trying on his new top-of-the-range riding boots for the first time.
They cost me £2,000, well, £1,999 to be precise. And then the boot trees, so these wooden things that go inside them, cost a further £800. Yeah, love it. They are tight, aren't they? They said they need to be really tight to the skin. Boy. I could get them on, but then the top of the sock's going to poke out. I'll pull that off.
Now, the first time I put them on, They didn't fit. Unfortunately, I had decided to do this 10 minutes before the commanding officer was going to inspect.
Might have to just wear my black ones.
If you're going to spend quite a lot of money on the boots, make sure they do fit properly.
Under the watchful gaze of Colonel Matthew Woodward, the inspection begins. As an officer, Charlie gets to go first.
It's quite comfortable, huh?
Yeah.
Is that all? One more?
Sam's relationship with his horse has been emotional.
Vesuvius, who's known to be quite a difficult horse when it comes to jumping.
Yeah, good.
He's been thrown off countless times, but coming off today means failing the course.
Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. Drive forward. Up. Go on, that's it. Hands forward, kick, drive now. Hands wide and up. Go.
He will try everything in his power to get you off.
He needs more in the pace, okay? More impulsion and energy. Good. Better. Already. Good. Drive. Now drive. Leg. 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 Good man. Lean back. Drive. Yeah.
Not bad at all there. We dealt with it.
Yep. Bit more oomph. Yeah,
he's not on the best horse. He's not on the best horse to go forwards on.
It was almost a refusal there, but he did well to keep it going.
The riding assessment is complete. Charlie and Sam have both successfully passed and earned their khaki peaked cap.
It's a really tough course you've gone through. It's not an easy, even learning to jump for the first time. The challenge is, how hard it is when you fall off, having to get back up again. Somebody showed some real courage to get back on and get round and have another crack. So really, really great effort all round.
When I found out that I passed out of khaki, it was a huge relief on me. It was a very, very good day indeed.
Graduating from the course means trainees will form the King's bodyguard at national events like this in Scotland. Traditionally, the Scots honour a new monarch with a series of events steeped in symbolism, known unofficially as the Second Coronation.
We're going because we are the King's bodyguard, and it is our duty to go with him to be part of that procession and part of his escort.
As the Sovereign's protector, the King's Guard has transported nearly 200 soldiers, over 100 horses, and tons of kit to make this ceremony fit for a king. But it's the end of the road for King's trumpeter, Andy Jackson.
I'm really looking forward to this. This is my last parade before I move on to the armour side of the regiment, so we'll be a bit sentimental about it.
This last 6 months, they've been a really special time. To be part of the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral, Her late Majesty's funeral, and then the coronation. I'm extremely proud to have been part of this era in British history, but Edinburgh will top it off for me to have one final parade with the King on my white horse and my gold coat. I might venture to say I'll tear up at the end of it.
Andy and his fellow 90 troopers parade through the streets of Edinburgh, joining the royal procession and Scottish military bands at the Palace of Holyrood House.
Riding up the Royal Mile, it does sort of hit me that once I get off my horse, that's me not doing another one for maybe never. We form in position ready, waiting for the King. It was a good time to reflect on the last 2 years of my time in the cavalry.
King Charles is presented with the Honours of Scotland during a dedication service at St Giles's Cathedral. The King's crown, sceptre and sword are Britain's oldest crown jewels and are worn formally by all Scottish monarchs.
I did feel one or two emotions, a mix of happiness and just a little bit of sadness that I won't be doing it again.
After 2 years' service, Andy must hand over his ceremonial tunic. He'll now move to the operational side of his dual role. At the Cavalry's riding school in Windsor, the trainees are preparing for their big day, known as the kit ride.
Thank you very much, sir.
They'll be putting on their ceremonial uniforms for the very first time.
You can tell across the ride, people are quite tense going into kit ride. It's just longer hours, more kit cleaning, and I would argue much more boring riding. You're just learning to ride in the kit and equipment, which can be quite uncomfortable, particularly when you put it on for the first time.
The boots, the cuirasses, and the helmet, just putting it on alone was like quite uncomfortable.
Against you as well, Taylor, one hand, nice and quick.
But at the end of the day, it's what I would be wearing for hours on end. So I need to like suck it up.
Right, hurry! Swords! Recover! Swords!
I think because you don't know what's coming, you've never done it before, there's certainly some nerves.
The two cavalry regiments are distinguished by their helmet plumes, with the lifeguards wearing white
Well done.
and Blues and Royals in red.
We have people that have only just learned how to ride and they've had 14 weeks to actually going from never seeing a horse to never riding a horse to being able to just ride a horse, and then we have to add all this extra kit on, and before you know it, it sort of blows some people's minds.
Riding in the full set kit, I'm very nervous.
Go on, Taylor. Nothing wrong with that horse, get it up there.
The jack boots are very stiff. The cuirasses restrict movement quite a bit.
Relax. Now, Taylor, you have to get up there, come on. You have to stay with him.
I couldn't let it intimidate me.
Taylor, you have to stay by his side.
Both Charlie and Sam are on the last week of the course. Their futures still hang on one final test: to finally join the British Army's most senior regiment. The Grenadier Guards are one of the most senior infantry regiments in the British Army and renowned for their ceremonial excellence. It was the Grenadiers who carried the late Queen's coffin at her funeral and escorted King Charles at his coronation. But ever since they followed Charles II into exile in 1656, the Guards have proudly held their reputation as specialists in close combat warfare. Their primary role is as the nation's first line of defence. The regiment's newest junior officer is 24-year-old Angus Black, who has just completed a 10-week officer combat course.
The Grenadier Guards with light role infantry. Our role is looking right down from the small-scale skills and drills all the way up to the large-scale tactical side of defending a village. And that will then provide us the necessary skills and qualification for going and becoming a platoon commander at unit in a few short weeks.
You come out of Brecon and yes, you are current and competent on the training, but in terms of actual life experience and professional experience, you haven't nothing.
Despite his inexperience, Angus now commands a platoon of 30 soldiers, including sergeants who've served on the front line. His first task is to be the picket officer, making him responsible for security on camp.
The regiment has a huge amount of small traditions and quirks and customs that have been around for a very long time. It's all there to create that regimental community and that team.
Too slow, out.
Every picket shift begins with an obscure ritual unique to the Grenadier Guards that Angus needs to learn.
So we're going to be doing something called mounting and dismounting picket, which is a slightly strange thing, which is kind of unique to the Guards. The picket officer will run in, halt, salute.
Sir, Second Lieutenant de Basto, mounting picket, Thursday, 31st of August.
Be inspected by the adjutant, be asked regimental history questions, and then, depending on how well they do, either running in, their turnout, and the questions they answer, they might have to do it again. It's a peculiar tradition that we still maintain, but it's something that sets us apart.
Out!
Second Lieutenant Black, reports for duty, no mounting duty.
Yep, so, sir,
yeah.
Second Lieutenant Black, mounting duties on Thursday, the 31st of September.
It is actually quite difficult, and it's a strange feeling. You have to go, sprint through, and then brace up, salute, and then get inspected. So it's going to be strange tomorrow.
As soon as you mount tomorrow, you should go to the guard room and change the number and your name on the board.
In less than 24 hours, Angus will perform this ritual for real, in front of the regiment's commanding officer, who will be expecting perfection. Every soldier in the 7 regiments of the Household Division makes a pledge to serve king and country. Newly qualified trooper Georgia Holbrook is driving the British Army's new Ajax tank on its first combat exercise. And today, for the first time, the troops are using live ammunition.
We needed to get out on that exercise as a troop, testing the capabilities of the Ajax, as well as testing our performance out on the area as well, as a troop.
Yeah, fast as you can, go.
Driving this vehicle has been thrilling, to say the least.
The Ajax tank uses cutting-edge technology, capable of tracking a target up to 3 miles away. Understanding how to use its operating system will test Georgia to the limit.
The drivers, we've got to have an eyes out at all times. We're trying to find them before they find us.
Georgia's job as a reconnaissance tank driver is to manoeuvre a few kilometres ahead of the infantry to locate the enemy and report back their location.
Okay, I'll talk you on to where they're going to fire. Okay, so you've got that wood block that our squadron leader said looks like a cock and balls. Far distance. Very well. Seen. He's about to say the fire mission. 0 Bravo, the MLRS is now fixed. 1 Jaffa.
This was the first exercise, not only for this wagon, but the first exercise for the regiment that's happened in quite a while. Being the first lot out on the exercise was just absolutely amazing.
Georgia is one of the first female soldiers to drive the Ajax on exercise. Now she must show she's ready for frontline action. Back in Aldershot, Grenadiers Officer Angus Black has been given the historic role of picket officer, with a centuries-old rite of passage, a test known as mounting the picket.
The reason that the picket officer runs in is because a picket officer was late for mounting his duty, so just ran straight into the orderly room without knocking or asking permission to come in. Who knows if that's true or not, but we shouldn't let that get in the way of a good story.
Every time you mount picket, you need to get all of your kit to a very good standard, polish your shoes, polish your brass. You're representing the regiment, so you could potentially be bringing guests into camp or responding to incidents if they happen.
He needs to get it right to earn the respect of his senior officers.
Sir, Second Lieutenant Black, mounting pickets on Thursday the 31st of August. First picket, not bad. Need a bit more speed as you come in. Just make sure your buttons line up with your belt buckle on your Sam Brown. So, good shoes.
As a history graduate, you sort of feel that you should have a good understanding of the regiment's history. It was ultimately my history that in some ways led me towards the regiment.
So first picket, we'll give you an easy one. When was the regiment formed and where? 1656 in Bruges, sir. Which king? King Charles III. Sorry, King James II. No. Who is the colonel of the regiment? Her Majesty the Queen. Correct. So. And how many Victoria Crosses has the regiment won? 14, so. Yeah. OK, this is the picket folder. OK, all your orders are in there, and your picket phone. That needs to be on and on loud throughout your duty. Any incident, you need to report to me. Happy? Sir.
That was good for a first go. I think it's clear they've done a little bit of rehearsal. I think Angus is one of the first I haven't had to send out on his first go.
I think that went relatively well. It was a very strange process, but got through it, wasn't sent back out. So, yeah, I'm just pleased.
Having successfully completed his mess duties, Angus's next test will be as a platoon commander on overseas full combat training in just a few weeks' time. Next time, the pressure's mounting at the riding school.
Ow. I'm fucking here. I'm dreading it. This is the pass or fail now.